Good evening and welcome to the problem of being awake. Tonight I am going to make my last video about the US election, and I really want to bring forward two things to light I've been trying to bring to light on many platforms. And they're the two worst things about each candidate. That if enough people knew them, they could never support them, no matter what side of the aisle they're on. Kamala Harris. Anyone can go on any AI. I use Grok on Twitter. ChatGPT is fine as well. Kamala Harris and Kevin Hooper is a case where she locked him up on death row for murder, and then new DNA evidence came to light, exonerating him. Now, any person with a soul would go, oh, okay, right, well, I made my judgment with the facts as I had them at the time. This new DNA evidence changes things. Release him from prison. You'd think he'd be out in the same day. That's generally how that works. No, not with Kamala Harris. She didn't want it to look bad on her record, and it caught a lot of bad press in San Francisco. And she held on to that evidence, despite pleas from the family and lawyers, until finally someone forced it from her and she had to give it up by law. She didn't volunteer it. And I believe that it's 8.5 months. It's certainly a considerable amount of time in months that Kevin Hooper was sitting on death row while Kamala Harris had the evidence in her hand that he was innocent. Who would do that to another human being to protect one strike on their job record? And how can you go so far as to have to get another Attorney General, I think it was, but look it up on AI, the whole story. Just ask about DNA evidence, Kamala Harris, Kevin Hooper, scandal. Done. You'll see it all there. It's all, AI just searches the entire internet, brings it together. And she just didn't want to look bad. And so she let him look horrible in jail. So that's awful. That discounts anyone, to me, from managing anyone in any job. I don't think that person should have responsibility for anyone but themselves, and even maybe not that. And Tim Walz is a bad character as well, or in my mind, he's a very bad character. He wants to turn Minnesota into a sanctuary city for trans or gender affirming care, as it's now called, since we're doing it to children, even though the Hass report in Britain and the WPATH leaked files show it's experimental butchery, show WPATH have been lying to the whole world about it, but still people are doing it. People die, it can cause cancer, it can cause 3 other fatal conditions, and it ruins lives. And the height of suicidality in trans people is 2 years after successful surgery, and that is a statistical fact. Now, what Tim Walz has done is, if you are a parent and your child at 10 comes back and says they want to be a girl or a boy, and you deny them that, he specifically did this. This was his idea. He put it into law. He put that under the category of child abuse, not letting your child get a sex change when they ask for one. And that anyone can immediately take custody of that kid. They will always win in court, and there have been cases. The parents have no parental rights anymore, and the custody is taken in the name of gender affirming care. Here's where it gets even more ugly. Because of that, somebody could, through social media, be talking to somebody, kind of convincing them of, their kind of queerness, their gender identity, confusing young children who don't conceptualize these things properly. So that anyone under 18 having a sex change is insane, because their brains aren't fully developed till they're 35. But at 18, you can make a decent decision, but not at 10. I'm sorry, you don't understand what you're doing. And what could happen, and this could happen very easily, if Donald Trump Donald Trump will hopefully tear that law up, but you could be in New York and your child asks for that and you say no. Now, if they've been groomed like they do on social media, they can then buy a train ticket for that child. That child can run away, as has happened, and get on a train to Minnesota. As soon as they're in Minnesota, they're under state law, and that law applies, which means it is open to be exploited by gender activists and gender reassignment surgeries, and the business end of it and the financial end of it. It can be the doctor that wants to perform the surgery that can take custody of the child from the parent who doesn't want it done. It's the worst law in human history, and it's insane. These two people, if allowed to have their way in America, will destroy everything about that country, everything about that culture that's good, everything that is good about America. And I am half American, half English. I hail from Massachusetts, and my family name over there is Gould. It's actually relatively well known, but the money went a few generations ago. Honestly, it's the hard time for you all. It's polarizing, but everything you've heard about Donald Trump that is evil or Hitlerish or enemy from within is all talking about the actual totalitarian government is currently in place, where no one knows who's giving the orders. The secret police are censoring and spying on their own citizens. That's one thing you need for totalitarianism. The weaponization of your justice system to politically attack your opponents, which was done with Donald Trump. That's the second thing. And there's only one third thing you need, and that's propaganda. And what are 5 of the 6 TV networks talking about only? Trump, Hitler, Trump, Nazi, Trump, Hitler, Trump supporters, Nazi. Everyone's a fascist. Everyone who's white is white supremacist. You know, it's absolute nonsense. Skin pigmentation is simply related to your distance from the equator. And if you want to play the underprivileged, overprivileged game, it's a zero-sum game. Because I can tell you one thing, I'm a 42-year-old English white man. But I was gang raped in a foreign jail. And other bad things happened to me in that country. It was a very corrupt country, and it was because of my skin colour. So tell me how I've got white privilege or white supremacy, or why white men are the source of all evil all of a sudden when they've been the source of building the world. Now, I'm not suggesting that everyone else doesn't get involved in building the world now, because everybody is capable, but journeys through history, white men did rise up and get further. And now we live in a Western world where everyone has equal rights and equal opportunities, but we don't have equity. We're not going to make sure that everybody has the same job and is represented 50-50, 50-50, 50-50 until you get 6% of everybody in every single job. If I get a brain surgeon, I want one who was qualified and wanted the job. And very few are female. There are many female surgeons. Very few choose brain surgery. Why? They don't want it. They choose other surgeries. That's just a simple fact. I want somebody operating on my brain, if it's needed, to have wanted the job. I don't want them to be a diversity hire, because that's the way that things are going, and it needs to be reversed. What's going on in America is as corrupt as any empire, any kingdom, anything from the medieval times you've ever heard of. And it is extraordinarily dangerous. So please heed these words and those 2 stories. You can look them up and on any AI. You can Google them and get the research if you want, but it's very quickly, if you've got access to ChatGPT or Grok AI, open it up. Kevin Hooper, Kamala Harris, DNA evidence, scandal. Bang. I'll tell you the whole case. And then you'll see. And I'll ask about Tim Walz. What's Tim Walz's new gender affirming care denial being now child abuse, and custody can be taken from the children, and it will give you that story as well. So look it up, please, and pass this on before the world makes a big mistake. I don't think it will, but it's too close to call. Anyway, I'll leave it there. I need to calm down after this one. It's a good one to finish on. You be good, I'll be lucky, and I'll see you soon. I'll see you after the 6th.